every day was just a new challenge, and streams definitely help with that, just to keep me in a positive mindset, to give me some energy, but also to be like introspective and see what was going on.
Hello, and welcome to the Trip Sitting Podcast, where we explore what it means to be human. On this week's episode, we have Carson, who is a tie-dye artist and just a dope individual that I am super blessed to have crossed paths with probably about 7 years ago at this point, maybe even longer than that. And I'm so happy that everything has come full circle. I'm not going to explain how we know each other because we do that in the podcast, but it's just a really cool story. And it's so cool to see this all come full circle, to be able to record this episode. Now, every episode, I never really have a true idea of where it's going to go. We kind of just riff and let things happen. And with the way that this conversation ended up, I feel like the theme of this was creation as a form of healing. And you'll see why once you listen to the episode. But I think that that's just such a cool topic that we were able to dive into, why the creative process is so important in human nature and how we're all true creatives at our core and we want to be creating things. And it's just a really cool experience to be able to do that, creating something out of nothing. So I hope you enjoy this episode. And before you do, make sure that you are subscribed to the Trip Sitting Podcast on whatever podcast streaming platform you're listening to this on. And make sure to also give it a like and also give it a 5-star rating if you wouldn't mind. So that way we can get in front of more viewers. And then lastly, make sure you're following me on social media at tripsitting.blog on Instagram and TikTok, and subscribe to my Trippy Monday newsletter, which you can do on my website at tripsitting.blog. And that's it. So here is Carson. Do you do any meditation of your own? Is that part of anything you do?
Yeah, I try to be more consistent with it, man. It kind of like ebbs and flows,
It does. It does.
Yeah.
I'm back into my flow with that too. Speaking of flow, like I'm back to journaling regularly, like making sure I do my meditation. It's crazy how much better I notice I feel when I am doing that, and how when I'm like off, like when I'm in that ebb period and I'm not doing that as consistently, like it's something that's not that hard to do, but for whatever reason in my mind, it's like, oh my God, that's such a task to go do that right now. Like it feels like I'm doing something where like the whole point of meditation is to just exist and just be. Like you're not supposed to feel like I'm doing meditation, but like again, like the mind gets caught up in that.
Dude, big time. Because it's so much going on. It seems like there's so much going on day to day that
Mm-hmm.
either you don't want to miss out or you want to stay up to date or you feel like you got something to do. So it's more difficult than ever to kind of like make that time. But
Yeah.
it's so good to hear that you're intentionally making that time, because it's something I'm still working on as well, dude. It's a beast, man. Just the day to day, dude.
Yeah. It's all part of the journey. And I know obviously mental health with your business has been like a huge aspect of it, and we'll get into that. But the first thing that I do want to talk about is this dope event that you just threw called Homegrown. So would love to hear more about that and what inspired that.
Man, dude, absolutely. So Homegrown, it's a wellness and sustainability focused fashion show. It was in collaboration with All Love No Beef, which is my cousin's brand, which raises awareness about veganism and plant-based living, and then also Vision Culture Foundation, which is a nonprofit that gives back to the local community in National City, which is part of San Diego. And they do a lot of kids programs, and we thought it was a perfect fit for all of us to collab and bring our expertise together. So first we started off the event with like a mindfulness meditation. Then we also talked a little bit about mental health, and then did live musical performances to get the juices flowing. And then we shut it down with the fashion show at the end, man. And it was all upcycled fashion, meaning that it's clothes that were vintage or lightly used. And I'm just taking those and creating brand new pieces with them, whether it's through tie-dye, through sewing, and then also just chopping them up and creating like whatever you want out of them. So it's man, it's such a fun activity, and it's so great for the environment too, that yeah, I'm really excited to go down this journey. It was a wild journey to get here, dude. But
Hmm.
yeah, it was a great event. I appreciate you asking, bro.
So how long have you like would you consider yourself doing like being a tie dye artist?
Dude, I would say it's going on 3 years.
Hmm.
Yeah, coming up on 3 years. I started in 2020, like December. No, November 2020. Yeah,
Hmm.
November 2020. I was going through a rough period in my life. I was very sick. I lost some folks in my family. I lost my best friend. One of my really good friends passed away, and I was just, he had the pandemic too, so it was a really tough time. And at that period, I was trying to figure myself out because I had a startup idea that I was working on, and as I was getting more sick and um,
We're
a
gonna
lot.
we're gonna we're gonna pause right there too. I want to say so the way that I know you is through that headphone startup idea. That's how we met. My freshman year at Ohio State. So this would have been 2015 still, maybe early
Yeah.
2016, somewhere around there. And that was when I was doing this app called Buckets, which was basically Facebook Marketplace before Facebook Marketplace existed for college campuses. And we were in some like pitch competition or something like that together. And like I just remember being like, "Damn, that's a sick idea." And this was before AirPods existed. This was before the fucking Beats Pros, and like this was actually before wireless headphones was even a thing. Like you were on this, and I was like, "Damn, that's a sick idea." And then all the big guys just started doing it, and like I mean, it's kind of crazy to see. Like you were almost too early. Um, and but yeah, and so like either way, I remember we maybe had one fucking conversation, and
Mm-hmm.
I followed you, and you followed me, and then at some point, you know, 5 6 years later, I just remember your page, like you just started posting some of the tie dye shirts that you were making, and then like I was really like, damn, okay, I really like the direction that this guy's going in. Like I don't really know what he's up to. I haven't talked to him in 6 years. And then yeah, when I started trip sitting, like I remember that I guess you like just somehow found the page and like followed it. And then it just got to a point where I just kept watching you. Like I kept watching you grow was the thing. Like I
Mm-hmm.
remember when you first started posting this stuff, and then you just kept going and going and going and going, and the designs were just getting like absolutely insane. And obviously, I love tie dye because who doesn't?
Yeah.
And so I just kept being like, damn, like this is some of the coolest tie I've ever seen. And I actually know this person. And then so I was like, I need to fucking reach out to you and talk to you. But it's been amazing like watching you grow as an artist. And it seems like too, watching you grow as a person like through this experience. And I wanted to talk about, I guess, what does art as a form of healing mean to you? Like, do you think that the true artistic nature of what you're doing has brought you a lot of healing?
Wow, dude, that's a great question. First off, thanks for all that intro. That was killer, dude. It's kind of surreal, dude, because I remember buckets, man, and I was like, dude, you were also ahead of the game as well, and just like OfferUp came in and Facebook Marketplace, but I was like, I think I was like mentoring or something because I think you did it the year after I did,
Okay.
and then yeah, dude, I just came by and yeah, I was shocked you didn't win, but yeah, dude. So art for me, man, it's therapeutic. It's very therapeutic. You kind of get lost in it, in this realm of creativity and just creation. I feel like it's a very spiritual experience because you're just taking something that doesn't exist, whether in reality right now, and it's just consumed in your head, and you're just bringing it into reality, and um, it's something that can it almost like for the longest time I battled myself to be able to create,
Hmm.
you have like that negative voice in your head telling you like, oh, like this is crap, or like you should just quit, like this isn't good. It's easy to compare yourself to other people nowadays with social media, and you just think like what's the point of doing this, like someone else is doing it better than me. But after a while of just doing the little things and just being consistent, you start to find your voice, and you realize that I do have something to say. I do have something to contribute, and it's something that fulfills me and can fulfill, and most importantly, fulfill other people. Um, so I think it's been a long journey of really battling myself. I'll be honest, because I would draw on and off for a while, and I was really focused on career and like other ideas, and this was always on the back burner. But I think this is like my true calling, and art. I mean, art. I can tell you, man, like art saved my life, dude. Because I mean, if I didn't have it as an outlet, dude, I don't know if I would be here through a lot of the stuff I went through. So, um, yeah, man, it's therapy. It's truly therapy.
Man, that's just amazing. And I mean, I really don't have much to say to that other than like thank you for sharing and like just being open about that process. I think it really is amazing, and it gets me thinking that humans are meant to be creating things. Like we really are. Like most people that I talk to, it's the people that are creating something regardless of what that is, but truly because they want to, like not for the sake of others or for anywhere else or to get somewhere else. Like creation for the sake of creation, like those are the most fulfilled people and sort of like joyful and happy people that I've ever met. People that are doing that. And like I can tell you, like it truly shows in your work and in what you post. And I love it so like I can't keep telling, like I'm just gonna gas you up maybe this entire fucking podcast, but like I love it so much because it really does show. Like could you have imagined when you first started like making the designs that you create now? Like was that even on your radar?
Man, dude, not at all. Like when I first started, my stuff, like I'm telling you, dude, it was crap. Like I was like, this is terrible. Like I was using, like I got a tie dye set for my birthday. Like a friend gave me. She gave me, dude. I don't know if she's gonna. She's gonna listen to this. But Brandy Sotelo, shout out to you and Krista. Like we took a trip to Joshua Tree, and they gave me a birthday gift, and it was like socks and a shirt, and then they gave me a tie dye kit, and
Mhm.
I just hit the ground running, dude. And the dye was like really bad,
Mhm.
and I didn't know what I was doing, but I always wore tie dye before, so I was like, I might as well stop spending this extra money and just make it myself. So I just got obsessed with it. I really just got obsessed with it, and eventually, what really got me like to the next level was joining different Facebook groups for tie dye. I didn't know this existed, but when I just tapped into those communities, dude, there are so many creative people that are doing tie dye, like unreal stuff, and it blew my mind. It literally blew my mind. And at first, I was like down because I was thinking like, this stuff is sick. Like, how am I gonna? How can I even like compete with you guys? Like, I'm just starting out, but eventually it turned into like becoming a student and like observing, learning,
Mhm.
digging through archives, asking questions, and eventually like the answers came to me after
Yeah.
just so much of just like persistently working at it. And I love what you said earlier. It was like, creating not for just money, because that's the spirit I've always had, was just creating for myself. I just create like cool stuff that I want to wear, and it's crazy that other people like it too. And that's like the double edged sword with this whole thing, is like I love everything I create, but then it's so hard to let it go. That's the
Mm.
hardest thing. It's like losing a child. I like spent time with this thing. I've imagined it. It's finally here, and now I have to send it off to someone else. But you just hope that they cherish it and love it just as much as you do.
Yeah. How much of the process, like how important do you think sort of failing at creating something is in that creative process?
Dude, it is everything. It is everything. When I first started out, I was so afraid of failing, especially with charcoal. Like I was doing pencil drawings, and I would get very very anxious about every little move that I would make, because I didn't want to mess this up. I wanted it to be almost perfect,
Yeah.
and because of that rigidness, it wouldn't allow me to explore and to really let loose and get relaxed and really just flow with it. Um, and that failure piece is so important, because that's how you learn. It's not necessarily a slight on your skills or your ability. It's just the process of getting good at something, or learning how to do something. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you have to fail in order to grow. Like you were saying, if everything was just like a up trajectory, man, you like there's no humbleness in that. There's no sense of earning it. You know,
Yeah.
you gotta fail. It's inevitable, and there's no need to be afraid of it. It's so enriching. Like after a while of like doing this, I actually look forward to failures because then it's like, okay, I get to tweak my process a bit, or it could lead to something else. Like I've had so many designs where I'll make something unintentionally, and I'm like, oh, that's dope, and then I'll just run with it, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a necessary part of the process, but it's a teacher, not
Yeah.
a hindrance. It's definitely a teacher.
I think like just getting that mindset of of failure is not a bad thing. Like I've done a lot of thinking about this, just especially in the entrepreneurial world. Like again, we both started kind of in like tech entrepreneurship, and everyone always says like failure is going to teach you, like don't be afraid to fail, like move fast, break things. But subconsciously, like I'm still like I don't want to fail. Like I mean, I remember after buckets ended, I did that for like 2 years. Like that was kind of my entire thing. Like that was my personality. Like that was what I did. And afterwards I'm like I felt almost like embarrassed, and like I knew I didn't have to. And people were like, dude, you just did something that most people like would never even do. And like you went for it. And like I felt that, but I know subconsciously I felt the failure so much more in the back of my mind. And like, I've now realized that like it really did have a much larger impact on me than I thought I did at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy. Like I was like being, a good student in school. I never liked getting in trouble, and like it all stems from that. Like it all stems from like these early childhood things of thinking like failure equals bad. But getting out of that mindset has been one of the most amazing things. Like I remember when I first started this too, like the videos that I'd post and the podcasts that I do, I remember having to consciously tell myself, post it even if it sucks. Like even if you think it sucks, post it anyways. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. Like maybe 12 people are going to listen to this. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't like it literally does not matter at all. Like nobody's seeing you. The people that judge you, those people suck. Like
Yep.
don't like it doesn't matter. People that judge others, like they suck. So like
Mm-hmm.
why should I care?
Yeah.
We still kind of take it in, but it's like a conscious practice of being able to realize like, okay, just do it for the sake of doing it. Again, like I'm not doing it to appease others. Like I'm doing this for me because I like it and I think it's cool. And then once I post it, that's when I can then look at it and be like, oh man, shit, I should have done this instead. Okay, I'll do that next time.
Facts. And that programming piece is so huge, dude, because we're exactly taught that way, like to almost like it's very like left brain,
Mm-hmm.
like it's very logical. And you think when you fail, like this is it, this my life's over, like there's nothing else I can do. But you said such a key thing was like you don't know like the effect you have on other people. Like I went that exact same thing with Mango, and I was thinking like, dude, like I kept telling myself like I'm not gonna let this fail. I'm not gonna let this fail. And then it happens. You got a whole website and stuff, and you're not even selling anything. And it's just like I just feel exactly like you said, man, embarrassed. But it's crazy to see like the effect you have on other people just by taking a chance. Like other people can say, okay, if Cam could do it, I could do it too. Like regardless of what happened, you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like almost like giving people that light, man. And like regardless of what happens, they know you, they've seen you, from not doing it to doing it, and it's all possible regardless of what happens.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask. So in those Facebook groups now, like, are you now like teaching other people? Like, can you now give other people advice that post on there on how to do things?
Yeah, that's the crazy thing, man. That's the craziest thing. It's been a few times where I'll post like spirals and stuff like that, and people are like, how in the world do you get it so intricate, and like how do you get the colors to come out like that and so bright? And it's so surreal, dude, because I mean I can find the post where I'm asking people questions or like
Yeah.
looking up stuff, and I'm like, wow, dude, I didn't really think much of it, but then when people start commenting and say they want it, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
we actually, we got something here.
Dude, you made those spider web designs like pretty recently. Those went crazy. Did you a quick question. Did you see the new Spider-Verse movie Across the
I
Spider-Verse?
did, I did.
Is that what inspired that?
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely. That definitely inspired it, man. Because I was, dude, I was trying to figure out a name for it. Like, so that style is called Kenny style. There's a
Mhm.
scientist. His name is Paul Kenny. He's really good at tie. He's like one of the OGs in tie dye. Like he's changed tie dye forever, and he had a specific tie that he would use that creates kind of like that spider web kind of look to it. It almost looks like camo. Depending on like how people do it. But
Mhm.
I don't know. Mine came out like spider webs. I don't know why, but once I saw that movie, I just started rolling with it. And then when I dyed it, I tried to get kind of like those Spider Verse like color palette from the movie.
Mhm.
And dude, it came out way sicker than I thought, man. I'm thinking about doing like an embroidery kind of piece with it, where I like embroider like Miles Morales like hiding, and then like a bunch of like it's gonna be crazy, dude.
Man, I might have even said this on another podcast. So if I have, and anybody who listened is listening again, sorry. But uh, I first saw the first Into the Spider Verse movie. Like I didn't see it in theaters. Like I've always been a big Spider Man fan, but for whatever
Mm-hmm.
reason, I just didn't get the hype on that movie at all. And then it wasn't until after it came out on Netflix. I watched it for the first time. Someone was like, "Hey, you need to watch this movie." I was like, "Okay, like we'll watch the movie." I watched it on LSD. That was the first time I ever watched it. And I had like I can't even describe what that experience was like. It was just so insane. Like the colors in that movie, the animation style, the storyline, the soundtrack, everything about that movie was literally like it was an out of body experience watching it. And like I swear to God, I think I literally cried like 9 times. Like I was with all my friends and like nothing would even be happening and I'd just be like crying in the back and they'd look at me and be like, "You good?" I'm like, "Oh man, I'm amazing." Like this is the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And so I became obsessed with that movie afterwards. Like I looked up every little fact about it. I was like, "When the fuck's the sequel coming out?" I made all my friends go to like the day before opening night like to see that movie with me. The new one that just came out, Across the Spider Verse. But either way, shouts out to them for making one of the best animated movie ever made by far, possibly one of the best movies just ever made. It's
Yeah,
so good. Everybody needs to watch it.
absolutely. Shameless plug, man. Shout out to Spider Verse. Shout out to LSD for just making it. I can only imagine what you saw, dude. Like that's
It's like
mind
you
blowing.
see everything. It's like because when I'm on LSD, when I'm on any psychedelic, like if time slows down,
Mm-hmm.
so all of these things that you normally wouldn't notice, like you just notice it. So like every little like flash frame in a movie where like they just change the background for 1/10 of a second, like you see all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Every tiny little like it was the most insane thing. I've obviously watched it since not on psychedelics, and I can kind of see those things, but you don't notice it as much as you do when you're in that state. And that's a good transition to speaking of mental health and speaking of psychedelics. Do you have any experience using psychedelics to help you go through that time or even before that or just, explore yourself?
Yeah, dude. I think it was like 20 2018. I always wanted to try them. I've heard about them. I've heard about ayahuasca, LSD, and all that stuff. And I was when I was in San Francisco. I don't know what it is about that place, but you almost get like exposed to it, in like different ways. Like I was watching like Ram Dass documentaries and
Nice.
reading some of the books as well, and I was like, wow, man, this is like something I really want to tap into because like spiritually, I was trying to figure myself out. So I think the first time I took shrooms was when I came to San Diego. Actually, when I came to San Diego, um, I'll never forget it, man. I took them, and this was while I was going through like Lyme disease. So I was also looking into like do psychedelics help with it, and it actually does. LSD, I'm not sure why. They're still researching it, but LSD can actually, whenever I take it, I feel perfectly fine. Like mentally, physically, nothing hurts. I'm not anxious. Like I just feel like my normal self. So that helped me get through a lot. And then shrooms, it definitely helped me deal with like the PTSD of
Hmm.
going through Lyme. It's crazy when you go through these like health scares and like situations. You do carry some sort of PTSD with you.
You carry,
I
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a traumatic experience. Like it's, and again, it's not necessarily the what happened itself. It's your body's response to that thing. Like, is your body going to shut down? Like, are you going to try to shove it down and pretend it's not there? Are you going to be like super worried and anxious? You know, like worried about, okay, what do I do next? Now I got to watch every tiny little thing that I do. It's like it's that response. Then it rewires your brain a little bit, so then as you go through life, when things happen, you're not going to respond in different ways because of that experience.
absolutely, absolutely. And it's like a trigger, like a certain situation happens, it reminds you of when you were messed up or sick or going through it, and your body responds like you're going through it again. And
Hmm.
it was so tripped out. Just kind of like recognizing it, because my Lyme specialist actually told me, like, you definitely got to see a therapist and um, go through like a specific exercise to kind of recognize that what you're going through and how to get past it. And it just blew my mind. But yeah, mushrooms helped out a lot, just giving me hope. I There was a time where I didn't have a specialist to help me, so I didn't know what, every day was just a new challenge. And streams definitely help with that, just to keep me in a positive mindset, to give me some energy, but also to be like introspective and see what was going on. And then LSD just gave me like an insane amount of energy and creativity. So whenever I take it, I go to Joshua Tree, and
Hmm.
it's I feel like a kid in a playground, man, just climbing rocks.
So when you first got the tie dye kit in Joshua Tree, did you take psychedelics when you were there?
I did. I did. I did. I did. I did. I did. I definitely took shrooms that day. I definitely took, definitely, and it was, yeah, it was much needed, much
Fuck yeah,
needed,
man! I
dude. That's
love
where I
it.
got a lot of ideas from. Is
Hmm.
initially was through mushrooms for sure.
Yeah. Now one of my favorite, I guess, characters. I mean, it's your logo right there. The name of the character is Nim. But you have these like videos that you post called Nim Says. What inspired those videos, and can you explain what that is?
Dude, absolutely. So, my little cloud character, as you said, is Nim. I'll show you. This is like what he looks like. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like what he looks
Did
like. Little
you
cool dude.
did you design them yourself?
I did. So like when I was in college, like 2014, I was going through like a no 2016. I was going through like a arts phase in my life where I was just like I'm just gonna create, and I had this cloud stuck in my head, and I do not know why. Like I went to do like graffiti and stuff, and I would just make a bunch of clouds with that face, and I had no idea why, but it makes sense now. So um, his name is Nim, is short for Nimbus, like Nimbus cloud, and what it represents is having like your head in the clouds. So I've grown up with like anxiety, and I still, it's still a thing I deal with. But I realized like having it is not like a hindrance, and I wanted to create like a cool little character to be a voice of reason, to people going through the same thing. So why not have like a head, like just a head plastered on a cloud, and like your heads are, because when you're anxious, your head is just constantly in the cloud. So like, why not have like a voice of reason that you can feel connected to? So
Hmm.
I would always kind of come up with like these weird isms in my head, and I didn't really know how to like voice them in a cool way, and this kind of just came together with this little dude, Nim, man, and now I
Hmm.
just use him to like be a voice of reason and of hope that whatever you're going through, it's temporary, and
Yeah.
you can conquer it. It's only here to help.
Yeah. It was it again. It's cool watching you. from when you kind of just started doing tie dye, but like the fact that like it seemed like mental health was always a part of it too. Like it was never like, oh, let me just tack this on just because like this is what I'm going through. Like that was always a big part of like what you were doing with it and why you were posting the things that you do. And like I get, it's just inspiring to see you wanting to, I guess, not only create stuff and put it out into the world because you like it, but again, also try to just have some sort of positive impact on others as well. Like with it, like, it's not just this one thing. Like this represents a lot more than just my art and tie dye. It's, you want people to feel their best. And like, to me, especially wearing tie dye clothes, like I I feel good when I'm wearing something that I fuck with. Like when I know that I fuck with like that brand, I know this guy that makes this shirt is a cool dude and like just represents goodness in the world. Like there's love stitched into the fabrics of what I'm wearing. And like that love is just energy that I now have and I can bring into the world and however I see fit. But like that's what I love too.
That's deep, bro. That's deep. And like tie dye, it's a tribe, you know. Like I don't know how to explain it, but it's usually people that rock it and mess with it. They're tapped into like that kind of
Mm-hmm.
connectedness, you know. That it's just like a tribe of love, man. I don't know. It's like you're walking around representing positivity with like all the expansive colors you wear. It's a weird tribe. I don't know how to describe it, but it's definitely like based in like that the hippie kind of vibe. Like we're all connected, we're all doing our best, and it's love, man. It's
Mm-hmm.
love, and I love that you said that, man. I like that's so critical because you know, yeah, man, we need more of that. We need more of that. Every like especially in society and how things are going, we need that more than ever.
Yeah. So in your own personal like mental health journey, like if you look back to 3 years ago, like what what has it been like? I guess, just kind of describe the process of kind of how you felt then and how the art, how this journey of, again, like creation has gotten you to where you are today, and what you even do now to stay in this space of joy and love.
Got you, man. That's a great question. So like 3 years ago, I was definitely projecting a lot of my pain I felt onto other people, more self-consciously than like verbally, but it really caused me to be a recluse. Like I would just be in my room all day. I wasn't sure, you know, how much pain I would feel today, but I know it's coming. I know I'm gonna, man, just go. It was so many symptoms, dude. It's a long list, but it was just, it was hard for me to roll out of bed sometimes. And when you're in that space and just feel alone, you almost feel like life isn't worth living. And it's definitely like during like the parts of it that were very intense, I was definitely considering it. And it's just it's just wild to talk to you about this because I just remember it so vividly. But man, art gave me like an outlet to like project my pain in like a positive way instead of like holding it in and just feeling like this is never gonna stop. It gave me like a road to put all that energy into something more positive and expressive,
Mhm. Colorful
So
too.
yeah, so after I got in touch with like a specialist and went to therapy, how I kind of like maintain that positivity is one really deep thing, or like tool that I use a lot from therapy was treating yourself like you would a friend that's in distress. Being there for them, being compassionate, being understanding, listening, and not trying to just shove things away and act like it's not you. You know, um, it's almost like your emotions and your thoughts are just like a revolving door that like opens with all kinds of characters, and you just gotta
Mhm.
Give them a round of applause when they come through, show them love, and however long they want to stay, let them stay. But there's no need to like wrestle with it. But
Yeah.
also, and just like having like a sense of like it's okay to feel irrationally angry sometimes. It's okay to feel so depressed that you don't want to do anything. It's okay to feel anxious and nervous and fearful. It's okay. It's normal. It's the human experience. You know, it's not going anywhere.
That that right there, like, obviously everybody says like, yes, it's okay to go through these human experiences, and like it's okay to be sad, it's okay to not be okay. Like we all say that and we all know that it's true, but I like somehow subconsciously, like deep down, like that was one of the hardest things for me to truly grasp onto and be like, no, like that is true. Like it really is okay to not be okay. Like I can hear that over and over again and be like, yes, logically that makes sense. But
Mm-hmm.
until something happens where you really like deeply feel that on a spiritual level, like every part of you is like, holy shit, that's true. Like it doesn't register. It's so hard to do. And it's still hard to do, but like, then you could go back to that experience that you had. And that's what integration is all about, is integrating these experiences back into you. And I mean, that's what psychedelics have helped me with so much, is especially ayahuasca. It was truly feeling, oh, it's okay to feel all of these horrible, quote unquote, there's no such thing as a bad feeling, but all these feelings that I labeled as bad, that I judged as bad. It's that judgment that then makes it hard for you to then want to feel it, because you're like, no, like, I shouldn't be okay. Like, I'm blessed. Like I have a good job. I was able to go to college. Like I've never had to worry about not having a roof over my head, food in my mouth, or anything like that. So like, I don't deserve to be sad or something like that. Like it's really easy to get in that mindset, especially in colleges, man. There's like a lot of kids just don't know who they are. Like they've just been put on this path and haven't really had a chance to figure it out for themselves. And you get a chance to discover yourself, but eventually something happens, and you really figure it out, like, okay, I don't want to do this, like I don't want to feel this way forever, and like it's okay that I don't feel perfect all the time, even though on paper my life might look great. And just really like having that full on acceptance, like it's the acceptance of it.
That's huge. That acceptance part is huge. You know, like accepting this is who you are. This is what I'm showing up as, and it's okay. Dude, I would love to hear about your ayahuasca experience and just like, I guess when you started to kind of realize that it's okay to not be okay.
It it's it's funny looking back on it, because like just realizing that, like, it wasn't until I did ayahuasca that I really felt that. Like I had been saying that before. I've said it many, many times. I probably
Mm-hmm.
wrote a blog post about it before I did ayahuasca, but I never really felt it like in my entire being as true until that experience. And so like I had been, I was first introduced to LSD my senior year of college, and that was when I really kind of went down and just I did a lot, and had a lot of fun. And there was a lot of partying on LSD too. Like it was not like intentional LSD journeys into the psyche. I had no idea what I was doing. I did not know the science behind it. I just knew I took this thing and I felt amazing for about 12 hours. And then the week afterwards I kept feeling good. Like I was able to carry that with me, and then it would eventually kind of fade away, and then I
Mm-hmm.
do it again, and then I'd be like, oh, I remember, and then I could slowly kind of change and rewire my brain. But again, I didn't know the science behind it. um it's funny too, so like how you said that you took mushrooms and that helped you during uh like getting over the PTSD from Lyme disease. My first ever like real intentional mushroom journey was right when I got COVID. I got COVID in like October 2020, and I completely lost my taste and smell. Like nothing. Like dead ass nothing was there. I could not taste shit. And it was so depressing. I love food. I love food so much. And I couldn't taste like this thing that brought me joy, which was eating, like just no longer brought me joy. Like I just wasn't eating. Like I lost a ton of weight, and like I felt weak. Like I definitely had long COVID. And so I took 5 grams of mushrooms by myself on Christmas Day that year.
Holy
And
crap.
that was the first like real shift in my psyche of getting over the trauma from like losing my taste and smell and realizing like shit, this might not come back. And like just like being okay with it though. Like it was such a like acceptance of that fact. Like
Hmm.
if this doesn't come back, like I can still live my life. Like there's so many other things I can do in life that don't involve that. Like it's such a small part, like true, you know, in the grand scheme of things. But it was just like it was the acceptance of it, but also like the mourning of it at the same time. Like it's okay to feel sad. Like just feel all of that. Do it, let it out when you need to, and
Hmm.
then just live your life. And that also too, ironically, that was actually the first time that I was able to kind of smell something for the first time was during that experience too. Like it kind of came back for a second. I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna fucking beat this thing. Uh,
I'm gonna
so
keep this around. I'm gonna keep this
yeah,
around.
like I think I want it to come back, but I'm okay if it doesn't. I'm okay if it doesn't, but I want it to. But that was that first experience. But yeah, once I did ayahuasca, you know, I don't know what again it calls to you, as I'm sure you've probably heard,
Hmm.
but it had been calling to me since the beginning of the pandemic actually. So like before even I got COVID and before that ceremony, like I heard of ayahuasca for the first time. I was like, that seems interesting. And then yeah, 2022 I just knew I'm like, this is my only goal this year. It's to go to Peru and to go on an ayahuasca retreat. I don't know how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, but at the beginning of the year, I was like, I'm going to do this. And then, yeah, I did. And it was better than I ever could have imagined. It was very different than I ever could have imagined. I really thought I had my shit together and there wasn't much trauma for me to deal with. And I was wrong. There was a lot. And again,
Open
it
up the
all,
closet.
yeah, exactly. But it all came up to the surface, and it was like there was so much happening, yet it was so simple at the same time. It was just like the
Mm,
true understanding of just like just accept everything for exactly what it is. Don't judge experiences. The only thing that matters in the universe is love. Like there's some wavelength or energy of love that truly flows through the universe. I think anyone with a deep psychedelic experience has felt that before, but
mhm.
it's this wavelength that's always there that you can tap into. And so you could either live your life tapped into it or not tapped into it. And when you
Yeah.
live your life tapped into it, it's way more fun.
Oh, that's a fact. And then, yeah, dude, it's crazy how things come like full circle. You know, it's always almost like that. It's just like a cyclical nature
Mhm.
of life, man. It's just an energy that flows on and on and on nonstop, and you
And
can
it's
get
funny,
tapped out of it.
you can look back and you could see all of the tiny little stepping stones that got you right here,
Wow.
but like I can't see in front of me. And it's also too like accepting of the fact that I cannot control the future, and therefore I am not going to try to control the future. Like I'm going to do right now in this present moment what brings me the most joy and fulfillment, and like what I feel like I need to do, which is not always that too. Like I still got bills to pay. You know, like
Right.
I still have things to do that I kind of just need to do. I haven't completely disconnected from reality yet.
Hmm.
I'm still halfway inside the matrix, but I can step out if I want to as well. But like, you know, that's it. Just, you know, living in the present moment, accepting things for what they are. And if you do that, like there's nothing more I could ask for in life.
That's awesome, bro. That's amazing because that control piece that is so deep, man. Because I feel like a lot of anxiety, a lot of worry, a lot of fear just comes from us not understanding what the future holds. But if we just look at the past and see those stepping stones, you know, it's only gonna play out similarly in the future. You know, it
Yeah.
might be some twists and turns, but everything like that was deep, man. Everything is there happening
Hmm.
for your good. There's really not like an evil to fight. You know,
Yeah.
it's
I'm
just
curious, do you look back on your experience with Lyme disease like, you know, sort of almost with like a smile now, like with gratitude for it?
Wow, that's a great question. Yeah, in a weird way, I think. Wow. We're
And it's
getting too
okay if you
deep.
don't.
No, I mean, I could say probably a year ago, I was really struggling with the fact that I felt like 3 years, well, at that time, like 2 years of my life, I'll never get back because I couldn't like I was so sick that I couldn't. I was afraid to leave the house. I was afraid to date. I couldn't. I was just like constantly like a ball of anxiousness and just pain, and I struggled with that for quite a bit. Um, Thinking that I would never get that time back and that, almost like my life is over. But when I look at the great thing that came out of it, which was like this art and creating stuff, I'm I'm immensely thankful for it because I don't know how else I would have came around to doing it because I always pushed it off. I was more into like creating like a tech business and making absorbent amounts of money, but
Hmm.
I'm glad I didn't go down that route fully because I would have felt very empty and I would have lost a lot of the community that I have today trying to make that happen or feel like I was God's gift to the earth.
Yeah.
It was truly a humbling experience and it ripped away kind of like all of myself, if that makes sense. Like all the aspirations, all the labels, all that stuff. I was just Chris.
All of the fake ideas of the self, like that's not truly what you were. It was these ideas of you that you were attached to.
Facts. Like gripped on too tightly, like this is my identity. This is like trying to feel significant when I was just fine the way that I was.
We already
Who
are
I was.
significant.
You are significant, bro. Breathing and living every day, you are significant. Because
That's
you just
facts.
don't know how like your reach with other people, but you create waves with
Yeah.
everything that you do every day. So that's deep, man. That was a great question. That was a deep one.
That's beautiful. Well, on that, we're going to end it here. Before we do, please shout out where people can find you.
Yeah. So on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube by Chris Carson, BYCHRISCARSON.
I'm also going to
Um,
link to all of these in the footnotes of this podcast.
Perfect. And I got a cool upcycling project coming called the Homegrown Project. In collaboration with the Vision Culture Foundation. So we're creating like a thrift store, but it's going to be totally different. We're going to be upcycling clothes that we get and then creating like a point system so you can get discounts for whatever clothes you turn in. So just to incentivize people to donate and to not throw their stuff to a landfill or give it to Goodwill, which will eventually give it to a third world country where it's going to sit in the landfill anyway. So we're gonna try to revolutionize that, man. And yeah, man.
Hell yeah, man. I love it. Well, thank you again so much for coming on, Chris. It's just, I mean, I'm blessed. I'm humbled. I love your energy and I love you, man.
Hey, Cam, I love you too, man. Like trip sitting, this podcast is amazing. I appreciate your spirit and just all the energy that you put into it, the quality, and it's only a matter of time, bro. But I thank you for this time because it was really therapeutic and this was nice. So I appreciate you, bro. Love you
Peace.
too.
Much love. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into the Trip Sitting podcast. And thank you again to Chris for taking the time to come on and share your story and share your experiences. Now, if anybody wants to ever get in contact with me, if you have any questions, comments about the episodes, you're interested in being a guest yourself, or interested in sponsoring or collaborating with me in any way, please send me an email at tripsittingblog@gmail.com and send me whatever. Now, thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next episode.